This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so welcome. So glad to see everybody here tonight. This is one of my favorite parts of the week. If you love client community time, I'd love for you to drop a 1 in the chat. I look forward to this every week. This is a fun call because it's interactive and we get to talk to each other at the end of the call and ask questions. So it's a lot of fun. I hope everyone's enjoying the Drop a Turkey Challenge. We're actually talking about an element that you're working in this week, element 13, and it's tracking your journey to a healthy weight and beyond. How many of you keep track of your fuelings and your water and your lean and greens? Can you raise your hand if you do? Good, good. So you understand the value of that. We're going to talk about what we're tracking. So when we talk about tracking, we're talking about writing down whether you've had all 5 of your fuelings for the day. Are you eating a lean and green meal? What are you eating? Are you having your ounces and your measurements of vegetables? Are you keeping track of that? Are you charting your daily water and getting in at least 64 ounces? If you're not tracking these things, it's easy to get lost and forget whether you've had some of them or not. Part of what we're tracking is the time that we schedule with checking in with our coach on a weekly basis. So are you having that in your calendar every week? Are you spending time in your Habits of Health book and your life book every week, at least 5 minutes a day? The Optavia community, that's a big one. It's the Facebook page that you check in with every day. And it's also webinars like this. So all of these things are supporting habits for, your weight loss journey. And so you want to just make sure that you're tracking whether you're spending time in each one of these. If you're exercising, if you're doing any of the neat things that Dr. Anderson talks about, or the micro habits, all of that, if you'll keep track of it, write it down in a book or keep track of it on an app, it's going to help you to lock in your journey a lot better. Those are the 4 basic components of the program that we talked about: the fuelings, checking in with your coach, the community, and your education. So there's secondary habits that help you to reach your main goal, which for most of you is going to be weight loss. Let's talk about why it's important to track. I alluded to it just a little bit. It's easy to forget your fuelings. When you first get started, a lot of clients say, oh my gosh, it was 12 o'clock and I realized I'd missed my second fueling of the day. And if you're keeping track of it with alarms or maybe on an app that reminds you, you shouldn't fall off track with that and lose your way. It's easy to kind of miss how much water you're drinking unless you're keeping track of it. So that's why we encourage you to follow your little calendar schedule that's in your little spiral bound book, that weekly tracking sheet that you have when you first come on the program. Well, when that's all done, your coach can actually send you a PDF file so you can print more of those out if you're more of a paper and pen person. And if not, there are so many great apps out there that can help you track your journey. And Optavia has a pretty amazing app too that will help you track your fuelings, your lean and green meal, your water, and your weight. You want to make sure that you're using something like that for that. So let's move on to the weekly check-ins. This is a matter of scheduling time, which kind of is its own form of tracking. You're going to do a weekly check-in with your coach. And this is where they can help you navigate any stumbling blocks that you may have. But y'all, they can't help you if you don't know what you did the week before, or if you're not sure how your week is going. So another important reason to track everything, so that when you get on that call, if she says, did you get all your fuelings in this week? And you're like, oh gosh, I don't know. I think I might have missed some on Wednesday. But if you've got it written down, you can go back, and usually that's a great tool for your coach to use to say, okay, there we go. We can look right here and see where there was a stumbling block. So make sure those calls are a rock in your calendar, because I can promise you for your coach, they're a rock in his or her calendar as well. Scheduling 5 minutes a day in your books, that's key to your journey. I tell my clients, I personally feel like this is one of the cornerstones of your success, because in these books, you're going to learn so much about yourself and you're going to recognize patterns and habits. So this is a personal goal that you're going to set for yourself. Nobody's your boss here, but if you really want to grow and learn long-term how to keep this weight off, you're going to want to dive into those books. So don't let yourself down when it comes to making this a rock in your calendar. And then we've got our amazing community. This is another crucial lifeline for us. We're committed to each other. We welcome each other. We celebrate each other.
Useful sheet, which is actually a coded image.
Okay, so let's see if we can figure out who's not on mute. Did you see, Lauren? Okay.
I got it. Yep.
Okay, thanks. So, you're going to welcome each other. You're going to celebrate each other. We're going to share thoughts, recipes, idea. We encourage each other when we're down. So this is another element that you'll want to kind of schedule into your day. Maybe just spend 5 or 10 minutes in there every day, but schedule it for, a time that works for you. And then if you've dove into element 13 already, you'll see on pages 260 through 263, there are some great trackers in there. There's a 12-week and a 12-month, and they're very detailed. So you're more than likely going to be coming back to this time and time again in this element to keep track. You're going to track the day you've had, you're going to track the next day and plan for the next day. So just make sure that when you're working through this program, that you kind of take that as a really serious part of your journey, because like I said, it's so easy to just kind of go wayward with this one. And before you know it, it's a slippery slope. You can't even remember if you've had all your fuelings the day before or not. And if you've got alarms going off or you've got an app that you're putting everything in, it's just a much better reminder. So I have got 3 clients that I can't wait to introduce you to tonight. And the first one I'm going to call on, she is going to run to a volleyball game when she's done. So I'm so excited. She's in her car. She's a fairly new client, and I'm just thrilled with how she has jumped in and embraced everything about this program. And when I asked her, are you keeping track of your fuelings and your water? She was just like a really quick, oh, yes. So Olivia, I'd love for you to come off mute and just tell a little bit about, your journey so far and what keeping a record of everything has done for you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I'm Olivia. My car light just went off, so I'm a little dim here. But yeah, when I started the program, I guess a little history. I, as long as I can remember, since I was a little kid, toddler, had always been overweight. Struggled with my weight from a young age. Unfortunately, tried dieting at far too young of an age to have been trying diets, and did everything under the book to try to, be healthy and stay on a program or stay consistent, and just never had any luck. I'd finally get to a point where I started to see a little progress. I got excited and ended up not following through, or ended up not being sustainable. And so unfortunately, I kind of just got to a point now where I said to myself, okay, I guess this is just where I'm going to be long term. I'm just happy with where I'm at, and I'm just going to have to continue to be happy with it. But I stumbled into this program because my mom started it back in May. She too, with me, had tried every diet under the sun, or every program under the sun, with no luck. And then finally, tried this program. She had heard great things about it, knew people who did it, who said a lot of great things, and started it. And I kind of was like, yeah, not so sure how that's going to work for you, because I don't see, these feelings working out. Aren't you hungry all the time? I was kind of skeptical. And when she started, was a little skeptical, but since has had super awesome progress. She's lost like over 50 pounds since Mother's Day. And this is the first program I've seen her like really excited about. And she's, really somebody who has a hard time staying on track, or has a hard time, I guess, tracking foods, or diving into a book and reading. And for the first time, I'm seeing her like journaling and tracking and doing readings, which is really cool. So I thought, no, there's got to be something special about this program. So I decided to dive in about 3 weeks ago. I guess tomorrow I start week 4. I'm already down almost 13 pounds. And so it's been really, really successful. And through that, made it through a birthday. So kind of exciting. And that's due to my tracking, and I'm very diligent with my tracking. I guess when I started, before I started even eating the foods, I read a little bit about the program to understand, okay, this isn't just, yeah, we're just going to eat these prepackaged foods, you lose some weight over time. That's kind of nice, you know. And I started, you know, with the intent of, oh yeah, well, the holidays are coming up, I'm going on vacation for Christmas, it'd be nice to drop a little weight, if not, you know, maintain, because this is the time of the year where I really gain a lot. And it's this vicious cycle every year. I gain over the holidays, I lose over the summer. I gain over the holidays, lose over the summer. Horrible, just vicious cycle year after year. So I thought, yeah, maybe if I start this, I'll negate that gain. When I started then, I started to notice quick progress, like quicker than I've ever seen before. I started feeling energized. I wasn't feeling fatigued. I wasn't feeling bored with my foods or with, I guess I remember when I got on my first call with my coach, Shauna, she's like, what's really hard for you or what's not been successful for you in previous programs? And I told her, I don't think I hesitated. I said, tracking. I have a really hard time tracking things. Calories, I have this weak point of mine. So when I started, I knew that that was a weakness of mine going into it. Went right to the store, picked up a notebook that I thought was, you know, kind of fun. I'd like to carry with me all the time. Just wrote in all of my measurements, my weights. I made a column or a spreadsheet that showed like week by week where I'd like to see my goals at. And then I wrote down my food, my fuelings every day. Every time I had a fueling, I wrote it down. And then knowing that going into, you know, sometimes my days are really busy at work, full of meetings, a lot of pop-up meetings, a lot of walking around, a lot of being away from my food sources or my fuelings. I oftentimes the night before will look at my day, the next day, I'll take a little sticky note or my notes on my phone, and I'll write down, okay, this is when this meeting is, this is when this event is, this is when this party is. Then I'll plan out exactly which times I need to have my fuelings, and I'll even sometimes write in which fuelings are going to work best for that event that I'm going to be in. If I'm in a meeting, I'm probably going to have a coffee. If I'm on the road, I'll have a bar. If I'm at home and I have that nice time in the day where I have a little time to prepare something, then I'll whip up a pudding or a waffle or something. So, but yeah, in terms of tracking, like I said, I have my notebook. I also, you know, jot everything down in my my program, that guide that I have. I have a Fitbit app where I track all my water. So I try to drink more than 64 ounces a day, and I can exactly, like, right on my phone, on the go. Instead of always carrying my notebook with me, I can track exactly how much water I'm having. Every time I have a glass of water, I'm plugging it into my Fitbit app. Another big thing too is finding times for like the lean and green, because I'm very busy, very social, a lot of things with friends, a lot of parties. I also, you know, share a house with somebody, so I have to figure out times when, you know, that person's eating and I have to eat as well or cook dinner. So, you know, I'll write on a calendar which days of the week I'm going to be home. I know exactly ahead of time for meal prep. This is the night I'll be doing lean and green at home. These are the days I need to do my lean and green at work, and I bring a salad, things like that. Yeah, yeah.
I love that you're planning ahead, Olivia, and that's so important. It's one of the cornerstones of, you know, we talk about meal prep and stuff, but just planning ahead. And I love that you put that in your calendar. Thank you so much. She gave some amazing tips, didn't she? Love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I so appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to share.
Yes. Okay, that was amazing. A brand new client too, and she's already got all this figured out. I mean, let's give her a hand, right? Our next speaker is Marie Jo. And Marie Jo, are you here? I did not see you, but
I am here.
Yay. So Marie Jo is a client that's had success on the program and then come back to the program. And she understands the value of tracking and keeping everything pretty consistent. So Marie, I'd love for you to share just a little bit with us now.
Sure, thank you. Happy to be here. Hi, everyone. Basically with me, starting on this journey, I started by actually seeing, Frank on one of the LinkedIn and says, you know what, I've been seeing all these fabulous stories and let me try this particular program. My culture is a little bit difficult in terms of food because I'm come from the Caribbean and I'm also Lebanese. So as you know, we don't measure anything. So it's just throw it in, and if it tastes good, it's good to go. You can ask us for a recipe. We will never be able to tell you because it won't taste the same the next time. So that being said, I was like, well, I don't know if this program is really going to fit into my culture and what have you, because, we're talking about fueling and bars and shakes and, and what have you. So I said, well, let me give it a try. I'm here alone. My kids are all grown up. I don't have to cook for anyone. So I have a little bit more control in that sense. So I'm here and I kind of work in a hybrid. So I'm 3 days in the office and 2 days at home, and trying to figure out how I was really going to make this work and fit not only within my culture and then my needs, but also within the work environment that I am in. So I just kind of like, basically, Shauna said, I wasn't winging it, but I was kind of trying to remember, if I have a bar in the morning, and then I can remember throughout the day what I can have, and then have my fuelings. And well, it's been out of control because I couldn't remember anything by the time I got home. All I knew was I was ready for that green lean by the time I got home. So what I basically started doing was really, really tracking everything. I track, every single morning before I leave. I make sure that I already know what I'm going to have for that particular morning, whether it's a bowl of cereal, whether it's a bar, a shake. I do prepare my shakes, in the evening time and put them in the refrigerator. So that way I'm not rushing out the door and kind of not having time to prepare them. But like Shauna mentioned, which is my coach, I print out every single sheet. So I printed out so many that I have half for work and then half at home. So, when I'm at my desk or in my office, I make sure that I'm tracking, and making sure it's every 2 or 2.5 hours, I have something. As you know, if you have a busy life, you get pulled into meetings all the time, sometimes impromptu. And sometimes you have meetings that can last over half a day. So, how do you basically tend to fit that in? I make sure if I'm going into the meeting, I have everything with me, and nobody technically knows what I'm drinking. I'm drinking my shake. I bring it in a little, sort of a jug or whatever, and, nobody knows. So, and then I also bring my bottle of water. So I always have my bottle of water with me wherever I go. And usually for me to be able to control these, I usually have 4 a day. And I try to stop at a certain time in the evening and have dinner by at least 7, because that way I'm not up all night, right? But for me, what really, really has been so beneficial and successful, thank you, Shauna, for being such a great coach, but printing these out and then actually tracking everything that you have every day. It is so important. And I can tell you, I got on the scale yesterday morning and I lost 5.6 pounds just by doing that and being very diligent. So, holding yourself accountable, I think is really, really important, and, you may go off and derail a little bit. And, if they're so busy, you may forget to drink your water, but you have to track everything. And, I have a scale. I measure my proteins. I make sure I measure my vegetables. I was missing out on my vegetables, even though I could have vegetables. and so, and making sure that I have the list of everything that I am able to have. I was kind of losing out on a lot of items that I didn't know that I could have. And some of these items actually kind of fit into the culture when I have my green lean, for me to also enjoy. So for me, it's definitely the water. You have to get the water in. You have to get all the fuelings in, and then making sure that you track everything. And then the other thing I was telling Shauna that I do also on my phone, I have a timer. So I put a timer on for, every 2 or 2.5 hours, depending on the time. And then, I will cancel it and then reprogram it for the next time that I need to have the fueling. So,
Okay.
so it works for me, and hoping that these tips will work for you guys as well.
Wow. Thank you so much, Marie Jo. 5.5 pounds just because she tightened up and started tracking, y'all. Is that amazing? Wow. Wow. So that's exciting. Thank you so much for sharing. I hope that you're taking something of value. I would just love for you, and I think Lucy asked a question, any advice for someone who finds it tedious to write everything out? Lucy, that you can always plug it into an app that might be a little bit easier for someone. I tell people you track as long as you need to. If you want to track past that first 4 or 5 weeks, keep tracking, because if it keeps you, motivated and on schedule, that's all that's important. I kept my timers for years. Even after I lost my weight, I still kept my timers on my phone to eat every few hours because I would get complacent and forget. So, well, thank you so much, Marie Jo. That was a fabulous share. Okay, our last client, she is busy. Girls and guys, this lady is so busy. She's been on the program a hot minute or two. She's had fabulous success. And I want her to share with you something that she noticed about when she wasn't tracking and she started tightening up and tracking again. Peggy, I would love for you to come off of mute and share with us.
Hi. I did start my journey back in September of 2021 because my daughter was getting married and I was desperate to fit into a dress that I was happy in. And this was my Hail Mary. I had been carrying lots of extra weight since the whole time my kids were growing up. And I just wanted to look good for the wedding. So my why was crystal clear at that point in time. And I went on this program, and it was just like a miracle. It was magic for me. I lost 50 pounds in my first 6 months. And I was able to get it, the dress that I bought, I had to keep getting, fitted smaller and smaller. And I was thrilled. So I felt like I was the top of the world. During that time period, I was really good about sticking to the plan, super clean, and tracking everything, and doing my way and measuring my lean and green, and that was so important. After the wedding, however, I kind of lost my why and lost my way, and I was so happy that I was no longer obese, that I was just in the overweight category, that I kind of allowed myself to slide. I thought I was still following 5 and 1, but I was taking a taste of this or a glass of wine here and there, not always making the good choices, not tracking. And, for the next 8 months, even though I was eating pretty much 5 and 1, it was very ish. And I maintained, but I did not lose. I fluctuated 5 pounds up and down. So, going back to the book and element 13, one thing that Dr. A says, which I think bears repeating, is, taking full responsibility for yourself is the one thing that you must do that no one else can do for you. And that is what I'm going to be my new mantra, because I can make all the excuses in the world, but if I cheat, I'm only hurting myself. And if I told Shauna, and she's been wonderful, and a part of my problem when I got complacent was that I thought I don't need the weekly check-ins, but I have seen the light and I now have a standing with Shauna. So I'm sure we're going to stay on track there. And by keeping to the plan, trusting the plan, I'm going to let the magic happen again. When you've been in so many different other weight loss programs, sometimes you think you might know better than Dr. A. No, you don't. I'm not a scientist. No, trust the science. And even if it's just magic, be superstitious about it, do all 4 elements and let it work. So
that was amazing. Thank you, Peggy. Let's give her a big hand for recognizing the error of your ways, like what you said. I love that. I think a lot of us have been there at one time or another, so it's easy to do. And it's just, like I said earlier, it's a slippery slope when you stop tracking and you stop paying attention. It kind of snowballs on you, doesn't it?
Right.
Yes. Peggy, thank you so much. So I just want to wrap this up with some time for y'all to, raise your little hand on your thing if you've got a share that you'd like to share. Maybe there's something that you saw the light on. Do you have a favorite app that you use, or how do you track your program? And were you in the position that Peggy was in, or Marie Jo was in, where you kind of weren't really tracking and then you started tracking and you saw tremendous benefit from it? So I just want to, kind of open it up if anybody wants to share. And you can either pop off of mute or raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I think you'll pop up to the top of the screen. Nobody wants to share anything, right? It's always such a weird time, isn't it? When we open it up and we're all just kind of sitting there waiting for the first person to get brave and come off of mute. Okay, go ahead, Rebecca.
I'll get brave. The question, I'm only 2 weeks old, so, take this with a grain of salt. But I have a really hard time tracking as well. And I think it's because real-time tracking requires you to pull your attention pretty frequently in the day. So what I have tried this couple of weeks is I will pull my fuelings, all 5, kind of figure out where they're going to be, set my timer on my clock for those, fill 2 32-ounce bottles of water. And then if I don't get to the real-time tracking, at least I have like, a path of breadcrumbs to go back to kind of plug into it. So I'll finish the tracking it before the day is done, even if I can't do it in real time. So I guess that's what I've done, and it's been working for me.
I love that. I love that she's pulling them all out in the morning. Everything is prepared, everything is ready, and you're ready for your day. I just want to give you a tip. If you realize you've missed a fueling, and you're like, say you've missed your 9 o'clock fueling and it's 12, go ahead and catch up with your 9 o'clock fueling and your 12 o'clock fueling, because at that point it becomes a matter of getting your calories in. And so you don't want, some people just think, well, I missed it, I'll skip it. Don't do that. Go ahead and catch up and get your fueling in. And if you set timers on your phone, I learned really quickly not to dismiss my timer. I would snooze it, and I'd snooze it until I had the fueling or the water in my hand. Because my daughter says I've got squirrels up here, and if I just dismiss the timer, I'm gone. Girl, I've gone on to something else, and I have forgotten about that fueling or that water. Love that. Thank you so much for being brave, Rebecca, and sharing. Does anybody else want to share a tip? We've got just about another minute.
I can.
We got about a minute, Kelly.
Okay. I have, I use an Eat Wise app that reminds me to eat, and that's all it does. It doesn't log anything. It just reminds me to eat, and I still use it. I've been on maintenance almost 3 years, and so I still use it. And then because I'm still eating every 3 hours, that habit has been ingrained, and so I'm still doing that. And then For my water, I just grab these, I refill them from the filtered water in my refrigerator. And, and I line 3 of these up on my desk for the day. And I just take them down, and whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
I
it
love
helps to keep me on track. And I just remember that if I drink a half of one of those liters with every time I eat, then that's 6 times, regardless of if it's a lean and green or not.
Yeah.
And then I have it. And so,
Right.
and a lot of times I drink more than that. A lot of times I'll have 4 liters instead of just 3.
Great tip. It's important to drink with every fueling. Okay, so we have had such a good night here tonight. Olivia has already popped off, but Peggy and Marie Jo, thank you so much for sharing as well. You girls did fabulous. I hope y'all got some great tips. And when this is posted to the recording, I would love for you to go and comment in the comments, maybe a tip that you didn't share tonight that you'd like to share with the rest of us. I hope y'all have a fabulous night. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you're on the turkey challenge, yay for you for stepping out and doing that. And y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week here.